What are some ways you do plan to execute those plans and keep the series improving?
Well, we all communicate on a regular basis on how to, what are important things we need to do. We all have, some some opinions on things like that, but no big ticket stuff. Getting a new title sponsor was imperative for the health of the series. Renewing with a streaming partner was critical as well. Getting our schedule out to our teams. There'll be a I think it's a small announcement from Hoosier this week. It's a snowball. That a bit of a new redirection they're going with their short track tires and how they're going to utilize that product in our series and other racetracks and other series as well, which we're excited about that. And so another thing that we did that I think is going to be extremely helpful for us, and it already has been, is we kind of put an owners council together. Okay. And we've got I think it's about 8 different owners that we get together with on a Zoom call, and we talk to them about some of the things that we think can be better, and how can we make their weekend easier, and what do they think about this, this change that we want to make or can make, and do they want it, right? And we never want to do anything our owners don't want, no matter what. So. And we don't need to change anything. I mean, the series is really doing great. We would just like things maybe to be streamlined. Our weekends to function without so much effort from everybody. Everybody's got about 6 different jobs when they're at the racetrack. It's so tough. And so trying to figure out how to put people in positions to succeed. Kip's going to have a big role there, sort of delegating responsibilities a little bit differently amongst everybody at the racetrack to try to make things a little more streamlined. It's stuff like that. Kevin went to the racetrack this weekend at Thanksgiving Classic and saw some things that we do differently, that NASCAR does differently, and so always looking at that, seeing if we need to adapt, or if they need, if we have some things we do great that they could do differently. It's details really, no big ticket item stuff.
What is your big takeaway from this first year?
Well, you'll never listen to your favorite song the same when you go into the studio and see how it's made. You'll hear that song differently for the rest of your life. And so, I used to just go to the racetrack and unload my car and wait for my turn to practice and go qualify and run my race. And I had, blinders on, and everything was about me and what I thought would be better for me. This is really much like broadcasting and other things that I've done in the sport, being an owner in the Xfinity Series. This has really opened up my perspective to seeing the challenges of a series owner, the challenges of the promoters, track owners, challenges of our team owners that are trying to make a living doing this. It is a whole lot to get this series up and down the road. It really is. It makes me appreciate the France family and what they've done. I mean, honestly, I know it sounds silly, but I saw Jim at Watkins Glen, and I said, man, I'm never going to look at you the same. I was like, knowing what you and Helton and all those guys have to manage, y'all, they do it with a smile. Make it look easy, but it's not. It's so many moving parts, and we're just this, mid-Atlantic traveling late model stock show, right? And it's a mountain that we have to move every week.
Thank you.
I was kind of following up on that. You have a new appreciation kind of for the other side and everything that they have to go through.
I certainly do. I certainly do. Like, just Burton's talking about the officiating calls and stuff. Sort of being thrown into those conversations, you buy a series and you forget you might have to suspend a driver or be in that conversation, right, of the decision to suspend a driver, which is not fun. And so yeah, I have a new appreciation for for NASCAR and the control tower, all the things, all the officials and everybody involved that puts the show on, because they have to do it on a grand stage and so open to criticism, right? They can't do anything right. Nobody loves any decision they make, and so I'm certainly a lot easier on them myself, having gone through this year and seen and learned what I've had with the car store. Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
Yep. You alluded to, Kip Childress coming in, and I remember when I talked to him in Chicago, and he told me he was leaving NASCAR to go do the car stars. I was like, wow, and he kind of gave me a little bit of insight. But how important is it to get an official of that level to jump into a regional touring series and do what he's going to do?
Well, I think our success going forward is going to hinge on Kip and his ability to grasp a leadership role in the series, and with the way that our ownership group is occupied with so many different parts of their professional and personal lives, Kip will have to make a lot of decisions as if he were the owner. A lot of times he won't have the opportunity or the time to say, hey, how do you four feel about this? He's just going to have to make the call, right? And so we've hired him with that in mind. And I love his personality. I think his experience is perfect for what we want to accomplish. Everything that he's seen and done in his career puts us in a really good position having him at the helm. And I hope he has fun. I hope he's enjoying it. He seems to really love being able to reconnect to the roots of the sport, which I can appreciate that.
And we talk about him having to maybe make some tough calls, and when you look at some of the shenanigans that have gone on recently in some of the events, where do you draw the line on the fighting or the getting mad or the intentional type stuff on the track?
Well, we suspend any drivers who intentionally crash others on the racetrack. That's been the way it's been at the car store for years. I've had drivers of my own suspended. And if you fight in the pits, you won't be back. There'll be a suspension, and depending upon the severity of the situation, it could be a long one. We will not look at that and turn a blind eye to it. I think when we had a situation like that at Tri-County, Kip and everyone took their time to really look at everything they had as far as evidence to say, this person deserves this and this person deserves this. And everyone, I feel like, ended up being accountable to what their actions were. Now, everything I saw at the Thanksgiving Classic, it might be impossible to determine severity, but because there were so many bodies there, but they needed a little security to help them with that situation. And of course, we've learned that ourselves, right? We had our issues at Tri-County, and luckily we had a couple security guys there to help us keep it from getting out of hand.
How do you manage the relationship with NASCAR when you own a very almost conflicting series?
Well, we want to be seen as an asset by NASCAR, and that really is determined on how we work together and how we communicate. And I think NASCAR knows that we've got to look out for ourselves. They've been in the situation that we're in, and they own other series that are also in a very similar situation, so they know what our challenges are. But we would never want to do anything that would be detrimental to that relationship, and we would steer away from anything that might they might, look down or frown upon in terms of, partners or partnerships and scheduling and so forth. So they've worked with us and helped us with the Flow partnership. There's a couple ways that we've been able to connect and get some lines of communication going, which I think are very healthy. And we can benefit from a relationship with NASCAR. The Cars Tour doesn't, we don't need NASCAR to sanction us, or we don't need to get underneath that umbrella. And maybe they're not even interested in any of that, but we certainly can be a very valuable asset to them. And we know what our lane is, right? We're going to stay in our lane, and we're going to operate where we've been successful. We don't plan on really gobbling up, any new property or physically getting larger than the series has been over the last decade.